get this done before the big guy comes out.
Yesterday they announced the top 16 seeds. What's your reaction to that? Do you think it matters? Is it important that you all are one of those 16 teams?
Well, I think your initial reaction is it's 5 weeks away. So, but at the same time, I think it's great. I think what it is it's a great recognition of what this team's done up to this point by people that probably know more about it than anyone. So I think that's good. And the other thing I say all the time, and I took a picture of it and sent it to the team. I'm watching the end of the big Monday game, and Iowa State's scrolling across the bottom. So that's advertising that's really expensive to get. So anytime Iowa State's name's out there in a positive light on a national stage, I think is a great thing. It's exciting for our players, but you know, we all know that could change dramatically in a short amount of time. But you know, you gotta get in there at some point, and for this group to think about where they were last year on this date to where they are today, it's a tremendous accomplishment by them, and I'm glad that they were recognized for it.
And in the women's game, it's pretty important to be, if you're a top 4 seed, you host. And maybe you don't want to think that far ahead, but how nice would it be if you could play a couple tournament games and then help?
Oh, you know, we've been on both ends of it, and it is an advantage. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But you know, we've been in situations where we've played at home, and it's been great. We played on the road, so I think you know the track record of the teams that play at home is really good. So I think that's why. Probably in the women's game, the reveal is not so much, you know, on the men's side, it's more about seeding and who's a 1 and who's a 2 and all that kind of stuff. In the women's game, you know, for a lot, you know, if you're not a number 1, most people probably went right to who are the 4s because that does have an impact. And so the people who are there, you have something to play for. The people who are, you know, 5 or 6, that changes it too. So I think that while it's still, you know, a thing that's very fluid, I think you do look at it a little differently, whether it's location or seed, whatever. But it was, you know, I didn't even see it at the time. I was doing the radio show, and Billy was sitting next to me, and he showed me the picture. So it was fun, and I think our kids enjoyed it.
What about TCU, Coach?
You know, we played them a long time ago, so it's hard to judge. But you know, TCU is one of the more experienced teams in our league. I think they were picked preseason 3rd or 4th, so they're right behind us in the standings. I think they'd won 5 in a row until they lost to Baylor. Baylor's broken a lot of people's winning streaks. But we did a really good job of handling their pressure here, and that opened up the court. When we haven't handled their pressure, we've struggled. Their inside game's really good. Jordan Moore's an all Big 12 player, and you know, we have to manage that obviously. But this is certainly a game where you know, I think their RPI's in the 40s, so it's a big, you know, opportunity for us. But certainly with only 7 games to go, you're looking at every possibility. But they're playing at a very, very high level, and we're going to have to play really well to go down there and win.
Over the last several games, you haven't turned the ball over much at all. It's been in the 10, 11, 12 range. Yeah. What can you attribute that to?
Well, I think there's a lot of things. Number one, it's something that we try and talk to with our kids about, maybe ad nauseum, of taking care of the ball. I think there's a couple things. Number one, with Lex and Bridget, we have 2 people that can really take care of the ball. Kristen spreads the court, which allows us to do some things. And I think the other thing is we've tried to instill in our players that we have a lot of people that can make baskets. And if we're not turning the ball over, they're all going to get a chance to get a shot. And so I think if they know that if we do those little things, and I think we've simplified some things from a schematic standpoint, and that the players are just doing, you know, we always say make the simple play, make the easy play. Don't make the ESPN highlight play. And when players buy into that, I think that's better. But I do think because of the way Lex and Bridget can do, you know, things with the ball and see the floor, and their basketball IQ is so high that it allows the other kids to get into good spots where we can prevent the silly turnovers. You're going to turn the ball over. I mean, that's part of the game. But especially when you play teams that want to get up and pressure you, we call it press offense, not press break. So we want to attack defensive pressure with offensive pressure. So if you can do that and you do it successfully, you're going to get some looks. If you don't, it gets pretty ugly.
You mentioned the ESPN plays. Lex makes some of those plays. You have to harness that a little bit because she does make some pretty crazy plays.
Yeah, she does. We've talked about it a few times on the bench, and those are fun. And sometimes those plays come if you do things you can still make an ESPN play in a fundamental way. Okay. It doesn't have to be done where it's you're trying to create stuff that isn't there. And I think if you look at the ESPN or the plays that she's made, their drive, jump stop, kick, they're fundamental in their genesis, but at the end of the day, it turns out to be a play that that everyone gives the ooh and ah to. So, yeah, we've had a couple of discussions about ball security, but she's gotten a lot better at it, and certainly those plays are fun for our fans and for the kids too. They do, because in our game, you got to have a few of those plays that lead to a layup, lead to a three, because it's not an alley-oop and someone dunks it. So those kind of plays are important in the flow of a game, as long as they're done at the right time, I guess.
You use some unique motivational tactics. The record of Hilton over the past few years, and then you said that after the last game, the Gatorade cooler, you taped something inside there. Are you going to use the top four as any sort of motivational tactic for this team? Or?
Not really. I think this team probably kind of goes back to our teams, 2000, a while ago. They follow it. They understand it more. Some teams you have to kind of lead them through it and what this means. I'm getting texts from them before I even saw who the 16 were. This group has a better feel for things outside of this building than most. So, no, I don't think there's any extra motivation needed for that, because they know what that means and they know the possibilities. So we'll let them handle that one.
Who are the ones that texted you when they found out the seeding?
Bridget, AD, Lex, Bear. It was kind of like once they saw it, then there was just this continuing Maddie Wise. It was just kind of like this. I think it kind of went through the team, and everyone was kind of had this. We have a group text thing that we do, that I do with them, and it's not just about that. It could be about anything. So once that started, it kind of went for a while last night. So it was fun. It's neat to see them excited, and like I said, the main thing for me was it's really a neat thing for them to see someone recognize their effort, and for Iowa State to be in that light is a pretty cool deal. Thank you, guys.